we're gonna put him on the spot. Burt is gonna be our program for this evening. And before we got to go in much, I asked him how long he wanted to speak, and what did you tell me, 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
And I said, that's not long enough. I said, you need to take at least 20, 15 to 20, so, Burt?
My wife is not, I mean, I'll try.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Burt, and my last name is Eskandarian. Burt is my American name, and my real name is Bahram, which is my Iranian name. I'm originally from Iran. I came here in 1978, January 25th, 1978, as a medical exchange student. Long and behold, never finished it. I was born and raised in Iran. I was born in 1960, January 22nd, 1960. To my mom and dad, which migrated from Turkey, and that's where my name comes from. Eskandarian means a descendant of Iskandar, or you guys better know him as Alexander the Great. So there's some kind of a kingship in my blood. I didn't inherit anything, but nevertheless. So I was born in Iran, and I was raised as a Muslim. And you know, just like anything else, as a child, when you grow up, you don't have a choice. You just pick up the the religion of your parent, and that's what you're raised with. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the religion of Muslim, but you know, they have their saints, their 12 saints. They have Muhammad, which is their prophet, and Muhammad went to the mountain. It's a lot like the Old Testament, and got the word of God and came back and wrote Quran, which all Muslims follow. And there is a lot of peace and violence mixed together. It's not a religion of love only, and it's not a religion of war only. It's mixed. So, and that's what we were raised with. And at the time, when I was going to school and I was growing up in Iran, I went through the motions of being religious, because all my buddies would go to mosque, so I would go to mosque. We all would been 17 times, even though we were speaking Arabic and we didn't have a slightest idea what we were saying, because Quran is written in Arabic. And there is translations to English, but in Iran, it's in Arabic. So you actually in a school learn Arabic so you can study Quran. And we really didn't care about studying Quran, but we had to do it because we wanted to get a good grade. So that was forced upon us right from the get-go, and the mosque was forced upon us. Then there is a theme every year, once a year, they call it Ashura, is when the saints are murdered in a war, and you go out in the street and you mutilate yourself, you hit yourself, you chain yourself. Some people cut themselves, and the parents would take them out there, and actually you were part of that. And so, that's what we were raised on. So I came to the United States, I grew up, and all these things were happening, and the time came to go to university, and I did not get accepted in Iran University. We had only, at the time, 20 universities in the whole Iran. So consequently, you had to be at the top of your class and even more to be accepted in those universities. So the next best thing was you took exit exam to go to one of the countries of the world to study. Well, the year that I took the exam, the grade was set so low that I passed. And that, I say that, I don't joke about it, it's actually a serious thing. Because if the grade would have been as what it was the year before that, I would not have passed. I was one of the 200,000 people tested
Wow.
to get out, and only 2,000 people get to pass. In 1978, I was one of those 2,000 people, and I came. So, long and behold, out of nowhere, I showed up. I flew on a 747 refueling from Iran. It was Iranian Air Force, and the reason I did that was because my brother was a general in Air Force. So he flew the 747, and I flew with him. My ticket cost $10. It did. And we played soccer on the bottom layer of 747 because there
Wow,
was no
that
chairs
must be
down there.
big.
All the chairs were on the dome. If you know what the 747 looks like, there's a dome up there.
Wow.
And there was about maybe 40 chairs up there. And that's where the passengers could sit. And the bottom, there was nothing but a big old tank. So that's how we came to United States. And we landed in LaGuardia Airport, and it was like, it was in January, but there was blizzard. So my brother actually lost like 1/3 of the runway, and he still landed the plane, and that was a miracle all by itself.
Wow.
And we got into, he gave me, I'll never forget it, and the funny part of this, and you all say, what this has to do with Jesus? It's building up. So I walked into the airport, I saw the first black man ever in my life.
Wow.
He was all, to me, he looked like a giant. He was like 5'6", 5'7", and he was way up there. And he was speaking to me, and I didn't know any English whatsoever. I'm just looking, what does he want from me? But anyway, what I saw ice cream in the back of the counter, and I was telling my brother, I want that ice cream because I was really hungry. And there was a big peach on top of that ice cream. And my brother was just laughing, sure, you can have that ice cream. Long and behold, without me knowing, it was actually cottage cheese. It wasn't ice cream. I thought it was ice cream. So he gave it to me, and I took one bite, and I put it in my mouth, and my face just turned, and my brother was just laughing. Oh my God. That was my memory from LaGuardia Airport. But we got into LaGuardia Airport, got a bus, went to Philadelphia Airport, and then from Philadelphia got into a plane and landed in Dallas, Texas. And that's where I went to English school in Cedar Hill, Texas, about 16 miles from Dallas. And Northwood Institute. I landed there on the 25th of January. That's why I remember that date. That was like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon where the taxi pulled in. And we were in that place. And I saw girls. And I'm going, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this picture. There's girls and boys are going to the same classes. That's unheard of. Because in Iran, girls went to one school, boys went to one school, and there was no mixing together whatsoever. And I remember as a youngster, we used to kind of ditch the last hour in school if we could, and go by the girls' school and wait for the girls to come out so we can find a girlfriend. And that's how it was in Iran. So this was completely different to me. And then the first day, when I went into the English class, actually there was a girl sitting next to me, and during the entire class I was speechless. I would not look anywhere. I was just like this, and I couldn't repeat anything. I was so nervous, I didn't know how to react to the girl being in the same class. But anyway, we spent about from January till June, July, end of July, in that class, in that Northwood, and learned the English, and then bussed out to Dodge City, Kansas, St. Mary of the Plains College. That was my first college that I went to as a pre-med. And that's right around fall of 1978. And I went to St. Mary's for a whole year, and that's when the hostage crisis happened. And then when the hostage crisis happened, my whole world just came crashing down because, first of all, I was on a scholarship from Iran. Dad got caught out. We couldn't get a scholarship from Iran anymore. And I didn't have money to go to a private school because St. Mary of the Plains was a private school, a Catholic school. So I started working illegally, which was the second best thing I could do, not going to school, work illegally so you can get deported. So the fear of that, I started looking to marry someone because I just couldn't go back. Because Khomeini had taken over, the mullahs had taken over, and I was anti-mullah, pro-Shah, and they knew that. And at my age, if you finish high school and you didn't go to college or you stopped going to college, you would directly go to military, and you have to mandatory 3 years serving military. And at that time, Iran was in war with Iraq. So I would have gone front line, and most of my friends, which ended up going to front line, they died.
Wow.
So, anywho, so I was working in a pizza joint, and I got to know my first wife. And she was, her circumstances, she needed to get out of the house. My circumstances, I need to find somebody that was desperate to marry me. We all just chilled up. Once again, for whatever reason, things happened. And I got out of the hot spot. And we got married. And my first wife, Regina, we're a good friend now. But, before you knew it, the girls came around. I have twin daughters. They're 36 years old, 36 years old. One of them is in military. The other one is in aerospace. But anyway, they were born, and so on and so forth. And our life kept on going. And things would happen, and I would, like out of nowhere, things would work out for me. And I just chalked it out as a good luck. I just have a lot of luck, because things just worked out. I remember I worked for a rain soft water treatment system. I'm not a salesman. I wasn't at the time anyway. I couldn't speak, yet alone sell water treatment system to people. But on my first month, I sold 12 of them.
Wow.
I don't know how I did it, but it happened. But when I got my check, I only got a check for 300. Because the other 11, their credit wasn't good enough to buy the water treatment. What's going on here? So, worked for Long John Silver's for many years, or a few years anyway. I got to be really good at it, became a first assistant, and then I don't know how many of you are baseball fans and know Freddie Patek, Golden Glove winner for Royals. Well, he bought a bunch of Grandies at one point in Kansas City area. So after Long John Silver's, I ended up going to Friends University. I decided I'm going to further my education, but no pre-med anymore. This time I was going to go computer science. Well, at the same time, I had to work. So I started working for Grandies. Well, at Grandies, I was making dinner rolls, and that's what I did, dinner rolls and cinnamon rolls. But I had so one thing that I really did, that I really still believe in, and is part of my personality, is when I do something, I give it my best, and then the service that I render, I always ask the people that I render the service to how they felt about it, and how they liked it or disliked it. And if they disliked it, what could I do to make it better? So as a roll maker in Grandies, I would just go out to the public, go out in the dining room after I finish making rolls, and I'll grab a coffee pot, go to each table, and ask them, did you have cinnamon rolls today? Yes. How did you like it? I'm the one that made it. Did you like it? You didn't like it? And one of the people that I talked to was Freddie Patek. I didn't know Freddie Patek. I didn't know baseball. If he hit me square in the head. And he really liked it. So what he did, he talked to my manager, and he wanted specifically me going to open one of his stores in Kansas City. So I did. I went to Kansas City. We gave up Friends University. We stopped everything, and Regina grabbed the girls, and here we go. We were just like kind of gypsies for a while, just moving all over the place. But that lasted for maybe a couple of years, and then Regina's dad kind of got sick, and he was in Fowler, Kansas, and he had an injection molding company, or actually a factory, and he wanted me to go and help him with that. And I said, okay, we'll come and help. I don't know anything about anything, but we'll come and help. So my payment was a single wide trailer and food. He couldn't pay me, and I was okay with that. So I went and worked for him for a while, and again, I used to play soccer, and I was a good soccer player. So on the weekend, I would drive to Wichita to play soccer. Well, while I was playing soccer, and I'm telling you that God just works in a mysterious way. I played for this team, and the team's coach was actually Gary Atkins. He was the president of Mid-American Credit Union. He wanted me to play for him so bad that he offered me a job. So there you go. Now I have another job. I come back to Wichita. And I'm still working there. I'm coming to Wichita, and they taught me how to read computers, to work with computers. I started actually learning how to use computers in Mid-American Credit Union. And then they helped me to buy a car, and this is how I came to Christ. Here it comes. So I was driving my brand new Toyota Camry that credit union had financed. And one night I go, we want chicken. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go get chicken. So I went to buy chicken. I went to Hillside and 13. Yeah, they call them red. You know, it's a bad part of town, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So I got out of the car, and I'm just humming the tune, and walked into the chicken place, got the chicken, come out, and there was a couple of guys standing by my car. I'm friendly. How y'all doing? You're good. How you doing? I'm good. Can you give us a ride? I said, sure. Come on in. And I open the car door. I get in. One gets in the front. One gets in the back. And I'm not thinking about anything. Next thing you know, the guy puts a knife right into my side.
Gracious, wow.
And he looked at me and goes, you talk, you die. I go, why are you talking?
Wow.
Where do you want to go? He goes, take us to this liquor store. And he takes me to the liquor store, and he goes, how much money do you have? And I go, I just bought chicken for my family. I think I may have $10. He took the $10. His buddy from the back seat went and got liquor and came back. They both got back in the car. He got in the car and said, okay, take us to this alley. And I took him to this dark alley, and he made me park. And I was petrified. I was scared. And I know now how I would react in that situation, but at the time I didn't, because I hadn't realized my Savior. I hadn't known my Savior then. Life is totally different to me now than it is what it was then. So they told me to stay put, and they will be back to deal with me.
Wow.
I was so scared. They left the car. They left my sight, but I was so scared. The car was running, and I was sitting in the car, and I was shaking, and I couldn't move. And I was actually waiting for them. And this is real. I heard the voice, drive. And it was a physical manifestation of a voice, drive. And I drove. And I think that voice, and I know that was Jesus talking to me.
Amen.
Saved my life that
Praise the
night.
Lord.
Right?
Thank
So
you,
I
Lord.
drove. The next day, I got in the car looking for a karate school. I said, I'm gonna show them. They're gonna face me differently. So I found a karate place, which was Seabach Tom Kelly. It was over there in Washington and Mount Vernon. Washington and Mount Vernon, I think. Washington and Perry, I'm sorry. Corner Washington and Perry. And I went in there and he signed me up and started going to school there. Well, he was a big old oaky guy, right? About 420 pounds,
Wow.
6'7", but he moved like a cat, right? It was just like an awesome sight to see. And he asked me one day, I said, what are you doing on Sunday? Sleeping? What is usually people do? They sleep, watch football. I don't do football, so I sleep. I want you to come go somewhere with me. I'll go, okay, you're my instructor. I'll go anywhere with you. So Sunday, you need to maybe dress up. I said, okay, I dress up. So I met, Regina and I met him, and he goes, just follow us. So we are following him. He went to West Street and Douglas. It was First Assembly of God, right? And I looked at Regina and I go, this is a church. She looked at me and goes, yeah, what gave it up? The cross? I can't go to church. Well, why not? Well, I'm a Muslim. Really, I haven't seen you pray for a long time. Yeah, but I'm still a Muslim. Yeah, come on. So I went to church and I sat there, and it was different because Assembly of God, they played the music kind of like us, and they had that tambourine. Is that tambourine? I don't know something. And they were singing, and then they started speaking in tongues, and that's really freaked me out. I'm just like, what's wrong with these people? And then they started running around, and they were just happy to be there. Right?
Amen.
And I didn't get it. I didn't really get anything that day. And I was just happy to leave. So I left. Anna left. And Sibak asked me again, you're going to go with me every Sunday, right? And I couldn't say no to him. And it wasn't him, and I think now I know, but at the time I was thinking, I can't say no to him. He saved my life by teaching me martial arts. So I was really, and I go, okay, yeah, I'm with you. I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time, however, when I went, it was different because I kind of went and sat there, and the preacher started talking to me, and he was talking to me, not anybody else around me, to me, and I'm going, how does he know all these things about me? He's just saying it right to my face, and everything that he's saying about, not doing the right things and spending money on this and worrying about this and worrying about that, and you only need to worry about being straight with the Lord and walk the walk and don't do anything wrong and believe in Jesus. Believe in Jesus. Like, what did Jesus do for me? And never forget that. The word that he said. He goes, I was there for you when you didn't know me.
Amen.
Amen. And I remember that to this day. Those words just sunk in so hard.
Praise the Lord.
And I don't know what happened at that point. At that point, I don't know what happened to me. But I just knew this, I felt this tingling all over me.
Thank you,
And
Lord.
when he said that, and I just closed my head, oh God, please come to my heart. Please, God, come to my heart.
Thank you, Lord.
Forgive me for my sins. I'm yours, Jesus, I'm yours. And that's all I had to say. And my life has never been the same. I tell you, I thought my life was over. And I say this, and Stacy knows how much I love Stacy. But after I separated from Regina, and Laura came to my life, Laura and I, we spent 14 years together, and we were inseparable. And we left everything behind in Wichita, and we moved to Wellington because we were thinking that that's what Laura's dream was, to open up a karate school. But that wasn't why we moved to Wellington. Once again, God was putting us in a place that when she started going through that hell, we were surrounded by so much love that it was just unbelievable. If that would have happened to us in Wichita, we would have been lost in magnitude. We would have been lost in multitude.
Yeah.
But here, what did people do in Wellington? Dr. Hawks was one of them. They started having get-togethers, raising money, doing this, doing that. People just bending backward, helping us out,
Praise
just to
the
get
Lord.
us one chemo pill for Laura cost $350.
Wow.
One treatment was $14,000.
Gracious.
I had a friend that wrote me
Wow.
a check for $8,000 and put it in the mail. I didn't even know. I didn't even ask him. It just showed up. God was setting us up, and the way Laura handled, I don't know how many of you knew Laura, but the way she handled herself through her sickness, it was a testimony to the power of God in her life.
Amen.
We walked the walk, and he walked right next to us to this day. And when Laura died, I was gone. I thought for sure I was going to take my life. And I share that with you because I want you to know that the Satan is for real. And more closer you get to God, harder he's going to hit you. And he did hit me as hard as he could. And I never forget, I was in the studio, I sold the house that we had together next to the lake, and I couldn't stay there because all the memories that I had with Laura, I'm looking for a napkin because my throat. I can't cry, I have a nose running and you guys are laughing at me at the same time. Thank you. You know, this is another thing. I should learn that more often. But I couldn't stay there, so I went to the studio, and we have a back room in the studio, and I stayed there. And there was many nights that I woke up and I saw her standing at the door and just smiling at me. And I told God, I said, I am going to take my life. I know this is against everything that you have said, but I just can't go on. If you want me to go on, just show me a sign. And then one day, Stacy and Kayla walked through that door, and I just took one look. And then Kayla, not knowing me from anything, just ran and just jumped on me and gave me such a big hug. And I took a look at her and Stacy, and right there and then I knew that was a sign from God. And then of course the rest is history. I mean, we got together and things just got better as we went. My heartache went away, and going back to church and being fellowship with the people in church, and God blessed me at work, and then God blessed me at the school, and then the Gideons, and then the story behind the Gideons was that when we were going back and forth, I took Laura back to South Dakota because we knew the time was coming and she was not going to survive this. She knew that. She was very straight with me. She took walks with God every day in the farm. I go, where are you going? I'm gonna go walk with my friend. I'll be back. And her friend was Jesus Christ.
Praise
They
the
had
Lord.
talks every day.
Mhm.
And she told me, she goes, hon, take me to South Dakota. I need to see everybody. And there was no argument, we just went. Because I knew what she wanted.
Mhm.
And there, we had Laura's aunt and her husband, and I can't remember the name right now. They're Gideons. And he asked me, he goes, do you want to be a Gideon? And I asked him, I said, what is it all about? He goes, sharing your testimony, like you just did with everybody else. And, you know, that by itself is very powerful. I said, I love that. I would love, as much as God has done for me, what is this little thing that I'm going to do for him? I mean, that's how I look at it. It's just like he's been in my life ever since I was born. I just didn't know it. Now I know it. Every time I turn back and look at it, I see signs that were there, and I just were too stupid to know about that. Well, I didn't know anything about Jesus then. When I went back, you know, that was pretty cool when I got a chance in 2014 to go back to Iran. After Laura passed, I went back for maybe 6 weeks. And it was so, I mean, I got in a plane and the thought went through my mind. It was so vivid. What would you do if the plane crashed now? And I just smiled. No, nothing. I go to heaven. I'll be with the
Amen.
Lord. I'm not scared.
Amen.
I'll pray for everybody else in the plane, but I know where I'm going. And then another thought was, what if somebody asks you if you're Christian? What are you going to tell them? You're in a Muslim country. I said, I would tell them I'm Christian. Because they cannot take that. I cannot deny him anymore.
Amen.
You know, I've denied them for 18, 20, 25 years now, but he always claimed me. So who am I to say no? And as a matter of fact, my family told me. My family wanted me to go to mosque with them, and I told them I can't go. And they go, why? I go, because I'm Christian. There was a uncomfortable quietness in the room. And I asked him, any of you wants to be a Christian?
All right.
No, not really. I said, okay then, that's fine. But remember, he's the way. And I even told him about that. But, you know, to me, it's just a matter of not once, not twice, but repeating it. And it's like a kindling. You keep rubbing it, heating it, rubbing it, and heating it.
Amen.
And sooner or later, the spark will catch on. That's what it took me.
Amen.
So many years for that kindling to take on. But that's what brought me here. And to this day, I am not the best Christian ever. None. Do I sin? Every day. I'm telling you, I do. God knows that. I'm remorseful about it. I pray about it. But I'm not the best person in the world, but I know Christ.
Amen.
And I try to better myself every day and try to share with people. But you can ask Stacy, I have many flaws. I can hide them from everybody, but somehow or another she finds them all the time. So, and you know, in my opinion, it takes a good woman to keep a man level-headed, and that's what God's gift is to me every time. I've been blessed. So thank you, Stacy, for keeping me that way.
Praise the Lord.
Thank you.
And that's really my story, and that's it. It's not
Praise the
really,
Lord.
It is what it is.
God is so good. You're so good to me.
Amen.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
I've been coming here 15 years or so, and that's